We have shown every way of application of the technology. There are a number of things when you start contemplating on developing the space reactors, and that is simply you have to understand one principle, and that is you need to create a condition that flow of the plasma has regularity, and at the same time it can spread itself but maintain itself. If you give too much to the environment, you cannot shape it, and if you cannot absorb enough, you cannot shape it. Where you put your 3 reactors base on the top, you have to remember you need to create a flow that not only floats between the 3 base, but in going, creating, it can get pulled to the top. But once it gets pulled to the top, it has to have the ability to be pulled back down again, that it becomes the feeder. If you are looking for creation of the solid structure. Parts of the videos which John hasn't shown, they can feel magnetic field flow, like a wind on the top. You've seen in one of the videos, they can feel touching, holding, the field interactions. The only thing is, the faster the pull you can create, that you can spread it, then it starts feeding itself. You get the structure. You have a number of directional float in everything. This is one of them. There, have a field interaction between these 2 reactors. And then, individually, each reactor interacts with the other one. It gives you, in the strength, the shape of the what you're looking for as a spacecraft. It is very, very simple. It is absolutely the easiest way to create a spaceship. But you have to understand one thing. You have to close all the leakages. You still lose some, but you have to understand you cannot lose too much. If you don't close it, you don't get your spaceship. If you noticed in what I showed this morning, as part of the research in Arizona, was I asked them, do you feel the temperature in the hand, the front or the back? It shows if the field is traveling in, if it's too hot and too cold on the other side, means magnetical is higher than the gravitational which is getting pulled. Goes back to what we taught today. You always been taught that the fields go out of the planet, but the planet takes field too. This is what is the problem and has not been resolved in Arizona. The minute they resolve this problem, they'll have enough that even when it comes in, they can diverge it. Every part of the system becomes a system to absorb, to do, to complete. There are a number of ways you can increase the gravitational or you can decrease the magnetical. Think about it when you set it up. When you saw the uranium reactor, we only have one. Here you have 4. Here in the star formation, you have more control. The understanding has to be how you can tighten the fields, that you can bend the fields in, that by bending it, you force it to come in. The reactors in between the 18 balls and 6 is to hold, pulled in and produce the materials. It should not take long before you see the structure of the spaceship. It should not take long that you might lose one of the balls. You won't be there, but it's there. It dissolves in energy. And then you might see at the same time lift and motion. One of the things which is not here is that you need a scale to understand if the weight is getting reduced or increased. Everything at the moment is on the guesswork. You saw me with the reactors, the uranium system. We can pinpoint accuracy, control a gram. Here, fields are changed. Nobody has measured how much does he weigh. Are we pressing the system down or pressing the system up? So, when you build your systems, look at this. There is a number of things you have seen. We use plates, layer by layer, aluminium, zinc, copper. We go from the heavy to the top. There was a small correction on that pictures which was shown. It says the top is zinc. The top is actually should be aluminium. You saw titanium. Yeah, it's a titanium, copper and zinc. You create a gradient in the matter state. In so many ways, even if you use a nano coating of the copper and the zinc and aluminium, you'll find out you create the same field, reinforce the fields as you've done in the, what do you call it, CO2 box. You continuously feed in the system. What this means is when you go, when you have the reactors, I use a different color that you can see it. When you have your reactors on the 4 base, under here you use titanium, here you use copper, here you use aluminium. If you nano coat the copper both sides, and for example use zinc here, you know you continuously can add, you create a field of carbon the way you did with your system. So that carbon, because it's in the plasma state, if you look at it, what a carbon is 6 of deuterium. So now you continuously feed into it, not only concentrating it, but now you start adding deuterium. The shape of the plant will start taking place. The thing is very important. You know, we say Japanese are not thinkers and they just copycat, but sometimes in copying they add something themselves into it. Not necessarily the spaceship what we see comes in from the other planet is the best. There are materials on this planet which can be used to improve even millions of years of development in the space technology by the others. Use of these kind of understanding that you have, it creates a lot of increase in the power of the system. If you understood that you could create this and you can continuously create a plasma, that it can be pulled by the tritium or hydrogen or whatever, you'll find out your shape takes place. The same, what is the difference between aluminium and nano-coated copper? What field does this create? So you continuously create a field yourself that you might not be in space, but by choosing materials, you dictate how you create the fields. This is a beginning, and then you understand. You create an additional wind into the structure, free fields that the wind will take with it, and because it's a plasma, it can do it. And because a carbon itself is a deuterium, 6 times in the structure, it can give you very rapidly the structure of the body. There are a number of things that you got to understand when you set these things up. Is you create a condition of the flow upwards, and then you block it. And in that blocking, it bends. It happens in the case of the Earth. The magnetic field of the Sun is so powerful that when the gravitational magnetic field of the Earth comes out, it bends it. And in that bending, it forces the shape of the planet. So, we have all the tools. I don't think those of you who have very, very much understood and work in this direction will take you more than a few weeks to come up with the first flying system. I entered Iran in June, July, August, September. Left 4.5 months later with a full flight system. You should be able to do the same. John has given you all the knowledge. We could have shown the space technology, these reactors at the beginning. We deliberately put this to the last, that you can see that what is needed. Going to space is not just going there. If by accident you take off, you should know how you're going to feed yourself. You see in the 18 quarters rotating, increase the size, you need more of. And the strange thing is, when you go to the high levels, these balls will create it by themselves. They'll come into operation. Everything is on the table for man to fly above the speed of light. Because here there is no matter, it's all is the field interaction. And the plasma travels the